And hello, we are live. We are here. This is actual play. We're playing some Burning Wheel.
Nice.
Myself and Judd. Thanks everyone for hanging out while we were catching up. I made us run late because I was LARPing. So first world gamer problems, right? Too many good games. Um, I'm Sean. I use he, him pronouns. In this game, I play Bina Janos. She is a peasant who was a shoeless peasant who was captured by a small village, by the people of a small village, and ended up growing up and living there, and called it her home, and got married and had a kid. And she's in the middle of three armies going to war, and she's going to try and stop it so that not everything she knows is destroyed. Yeah, I'm real jazzed. Last time I got to meet a knight and a wizard. This time I'm sure there's going to be a dragon and a troll. No, just kidding. Please no dragons or trolls. Judd's writing things down. But yeah, that's
Put in your beliefs. Put in your beliefs.
Yeah, put in your beliefs. Exactly.
I definitely don't want to meet a dragon or a troll.
How about you, Judd?
That's not how it works. I'm well. I'm doing okay. It's first time I'm gaming in a while, which is nice. And yeah. It's nice to get back on this. I rewatched it, and the last episode was a weird one because I had like on the road, I felt like I only had really one NPC to interact with you for a while, and he was like this surly, difficult guy, and I was really having difficulty figuring out how to. Yeah, I just was having a difficult time. Like I can look at that thing, at that interaction, and like give that guy Judd advice. I know what he has to do.
Yeah.
But he clearly wasn't pulling it together. And it was like, just because you're playing a surly NPC doesn't mean you have to be surly. There are ways around that, dude. Like just talk it out. And yeah, I was having a hard time that game. Like it was interesting watching a game where I was clearly struggling. So that was interesting.
It's funny that you say that because like what I remember, I haven't rewatched it recently. So like there could be something I'm not picking up on, but what I remember was like a very palpable sense of urgency from Bina and just kind of a refusal to match that from Voss. And like that was one of my beliefs. Voss is coming but doesn't believe we can succeed.
Interesting.
Convinced that we can. And like going from opening of the episode of him just being like, yeah, okay, and just not really being about it to the end when like Bina had definitely saved his life or saved him from incarceration. Like if she had not only been honest but also been convincing, they would have thought that he had hurt her and maybe not killed him, but it would have been bad news for Voss. And also in doing that, she convinced a wizard and a knight and all these people about the war coming and that they had faith in her. And so I felt like, I mean, I don't know if you have beliefs for Voss, but like I feel like he was changed. And obviously,
totally.
He was changed in that process as well. So that felt like a very satisfying like transition there to me. So
awesome. Awesome. That's great. I'm glad you had a good game, and I did too. I enjoyed it. I don't know, just having a difficult night. It's okay. It happens. I like to share that stuff. I feel like people tend to only share things when they really hit it out of the park, and I think it's important to be like, oh no, that was really hard. I had a hard time that night.
I think that's real fair. I think also like that was I remember that was like not a great time for you, like Judd. So that's also worth like sometimes we have not great nights and we sometimes like not to play and sometimes like to play. And that was, I think you had said, oh no, playing will be good. Playing is what I need right now. And but I can also see like that's definitely a factor too. So
yeah, totally. It was a difficult time. What LARP? Can you talk about the LARP you were?
Yeah, absolutely. Playing? Yeah, I was playing the Underwater People by Jason Morningstar, and I've played it once before at at Colorado. It's a little tiny con up in Colorado, and this time I was facilitating it, and it's a game where you're all underwater people. You're half fishmen. One person's the ocean. One person's the spirit of water. One person's a swamp. One person's a seal transformed by a witch. And there's no explanation explicitly as to how you all look like people right now. That's not the important part of the game.
Cool.
But it's a support group for underwater people all in this dry, arid place. I guess those words mean the same thing. And you're coming together, and you all have different sort of backgrounds and relationship status. A lot of the people are in relationships with surface people, but the surface people don't really understand them, or they're hiding their underwater nature from them. And it's just a really nice LARP about people who share a commonality that isn't shared by the people around them.
Interesting.
Supporting each other. And everybody has a need that they need to have. And everybody, when they come in, the host says, "Oh, hey, welcome. Go help yourself to some drinks." And there's a little drinks area off on the side. And everybody's needs are sitting out, and they're just one word. It's like one word with a couple of variants. So the need might be like friendship, or a couple variations of the word friendship, and another one's like adoration, love, obsession, or something like that. And you pick up somebody's need and you kind of tuck it away, and then you try to fulfill that person's need, and you have their name and they have a name tag, so you know who it is, but they don't know who is trying to fulfill their need. And it was really sweet and fun.
Nice. What were you playing?
I was playing Shelly, the half fish person, and I had a deadbeat dad fishman who was never around and never took care of me. And my mom moved from San Diego to Colorado, because you have to set it in a dry place, and like everywhere I know is like you're supposed to set it where you are, unless where you are is by the water. We're by the water.
Right.
So I was like, well, let's do Colorado again. That was great. And the need I was supposed to fulfill, so you don't know who you're fulfilling the need of in the very beginning. And so there was a person who was a siren, a merman, sorry, and he had like seduced all these people and crashed their boats upon the rocks, and was like very happy about all these people that he had murdered. And I was like, "You're just like my dad. You're terrible," right? And then I pick up his card, and it says he needs adoration, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, you're just like my dad, and now I'm really into you. You remind me of this."
Yeah.
And like, as much as I can't stand what you stand for, all that same thing that worked on my mom is now working on me, and I kind of fell for this character during the course of the game, and I actually inadvertently really made the player uncomfortable. It was very interesting. A very interesting point of like safety and calibration is that I went to several other people saying, "Hey, I'm feeling this really strong connection to this person because they're so like, they have such magnetism, and they're so powerful, and they're so strong." And I just wonder, do you think you could ask them to like kind of tone it down, because I'm having a really hard time with it, right? And this is all in character. And I was talking to the host who was like running the thing, and then they went and talked to them and said, "Oh, could you calm down?" And the player thought it was actually directed at them, as like that they were playing their character up too big.
Wow.
And very thankfully, when I talked to them, they're like, "Hey, did I do something? Is everything okay?" And I was like, No, it's totally on character. It was great. And it removed all of the tension.
Right.
But there was this like, this, as a sensitive and considerate player,
right,
the player was like very concerned that he had done something that had actually upset somebody or made someone feel uncomfortable. So it was interesting because he couldn't check in with the person out of character because they were relaying a message. They didn't know what my state was. So that was educational.
Cool.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. And I got people being suspicious of me, and that was what I needed. I needed people to be suspicious of me. So I had somebody who kept doubting me, and yeah. But that was that game.
Nice.
This game is some burning wheel.
Yeah, I've got to grab one notebook that's like right there. I'll be right back.
You got it.
So
You got it.
10
I will. I
seconds.
will chill out with the folks that are hanging
When
out.
I like, yeah, start going over, or we start going over your beliefs.
Sure. I'm gonna switch over to the other section. I'm gonna go whoop. Nice. I have to change a belief out.
I forget that this game started in an old notebook, so I have to actually just transfer everything over. Cool.
Preche? I'm gonna pronounce it wrong. It asked, are there any other players? And I was like, nope. This is just our one-on-one game.
Yep.
This is our one-on-one. I couldn't find the name for this last time. I was like, what? Because I kept calling it a one-shot game because I'm used to games where there's a single session, and this is not that. This is a single player, and I was messing it up. And Judd corrected me that a game with just two players is called a date. So that's what this is.
I've definitely had like game dates, and I've definitely had like jujitsu dates too, where like you're with a new partner and you're choking each other, and it's like, so what do you do? It's like, oh, I'm a librarian. What do you do? Oh, I edit films. Nice. And you go home, it's like, that was a date. That was a date. That's what that was.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a funny thing. So yeah, it definitely feels. I mean, I think I might have even said this on another show, but where games with groups of people feels like a dinner party, and this the vibe is more date like than
you got one other person to be watching out for.
Yep.
So beliefs, I'm going to largely keep my beliefs and instincts.
Cool.
I'll read the ones I'm keeping, and then I'm going to change one that was completed last time. So the beliefs that I'm keeping are: the elves' wrath is unparalleled. I will learn to sing so that I do not earn it again. Because, as folks may or may not remember, Bina has been blinded in one eye. She's lost an eye because she failed to sing in the presence of a wrathful elf, and she couldn't sing the soldier's lament, and so he couldn't have it. She does not want that to be repeated. Speaking of the soldier's lament is more than a sad song. I will make it to the outpost of dwarves and beseech them. And the dwarves have affronted the elves in some way, and Vina doesn't really know how, but I think they have something of the elves, and she's going to try and get them to give it back so that they don't go to war.
Nice.
My instincts are: when a stranger arrives, stand behind boss. I'm going to keep that. My next one is: when entering a village, always tell them of the impending doom. That one drove the game last session. I don't think that is going to necessarily come center stage again. I mean, it might, but I'm going to keep it for now until I think of something else. But it seems truthful about Bina, who she is. And each night inventory our provisions, which again may or may not be relevant. So the belief I need to change is Voss is coming with me but doesn't believe we can succeed. I'll convince him we can, and that totally did last time.
Yeah.
In fact, Judd, did you have a recap of last time in mind? Did you want to go over any details?
Yeah, whereas the first two games took place in Karakage, which is this little tower fort town where people bring their goats and stuff to market. We left and went out on the road and ended up in about a week away in another tower town, like a very similar layout, and as if somebody at some point was putting up these kind of night towers to guard the landscape or to guard their holdings and the road. And so it was a very similar layout, but an entirely different family dynamic. And so it was interesting because I feel like we had a situation where like we left Karakage, but then we went somewhere that was very much kind of a reflection of Karakage. I mean, it was a real place, but it helped me as the GM because I didn't have to make up so much. I could kind of twist things from Karakage to something new.
Mm-hmm. And it even let me be like, oh, there's a person like this, right? Like there's like a gossip. Like there's always like somebody who loves to gossip, right? Because even though Bina wasn't familiar with this particular place, she was familiar with this kind of holding and this sort of establishment. So yeah, that was very a slick way of allowing her to still be at home without being at home.
Yep. So so they thought Voss was abusing you, and they realized, or Bina, and when they realized that he wasn't, they listened to your thing about the elves, and then they kind of got like swept up in their own little politicking that Bina really wasn't involved in too much, but the wizard came over. And I think the wizard kind of realized that Bina was like this wild card out there in the world, and he wanted you out there.
Mm-hmm.
And Bina wanted him to go with her, but he wasn't into that, and he wasn't having it, and he didn't want to play Gandalf for you. So
I was trying.
Yeah, he said, you know, he would help you. That there was a servant who was there to watch you in your room, and he made sure that she was asleep so that you could get out into the world.
Yep.
And yeah, I think it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool to I don't know, the way Bina, it's interesting to be in a NPC's head and like watch the PC kind of convince them of something. So it was cool. It was cool to see Bina be heroic and talk to a wizard. That was neat.
Yeah, her tools for heroism are really different than what sort of standard fantasy tropes are. She doesn't come from a martial background. She doesn't come from a background of having being particularly skilled at rhetoric or debate. She doesn't have a lot of influence. She's got heart. She doesn't want her family to be destroyed, and she's willing to do something about it. And that's about it, right? Like everything else she knows how to do is how to like serve a lord. It's not. It's really not like, oh nope, she's got this secret trick. You know, her best skill is soothing platitudes. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun figuring out what that is gonna look like as she continues down this road of trying to stop this war. So Judd, as I write this next belief, I'm thinking of a couple different things, and I wonder what kind of resonates most with you. So one of them is, you said like that one might imagine that there's someone set aside these towns as along the road in like a similar format. And a thing that kind of like strikes me, a visual that strikes me is like the towers of Rohan, where they like all like light all the signal fires, and Rohan, I could be getting it mixed up.
No, it's Rohan.
They like light all the signal fires to like warn of a enemy invasion, and I wonder if there is a similar kind of communication system, whether it's a fire or a bell or something like that, that like each of these places has the ability to kind of let the others know. And whereas Bina would probably be very reluctant to go back into the one that she just left because she sort of snuck out and wasn't sure she'd be able to get out. Maybe the next one she could, instead of having to go to each of these little towns, it would Beacons of Gondor. Thank you. I wasn't sure if it was Gondor or Rohan. Thank you. And like sort of send that signal. And what that would look like, I think, is going into another one of these forts, talking to the locals. It would be a lot like the last session if I was sort of pushing in that direction. So that's kind of a cool idea, but maybe it's going to be very samey, and maybe it's going to task you to be like, well, I got to think of yet another one of these places. And
Right.
then the other direction I was kind of I'm thinking about is like, I have a belief about like, I'm going to convince the dwarves, but it seems like that's a very lofty belief. And maybe a much more practical one is like, I'm going to find a dwarf who can get me an audience with important people. Like, I'm going to find a dwarf that is like, would listen to me, this peasant, and take me to someone more important, so that it's not just like I show up and be like, hey, army of dwarves, you should punk, you know?
Right.
And that feels like it's a different direction. I'm not really sure how Bina would know how to find a dwarf, but you know, that doesn't matter. You don't need to know how to do things in order to have a belief about them.
Yeah.
And it feels like that would steer the direction, the game in a very different direction. I just wonder which of those, if either of those resonate with you.
I like the idea of finding a dwarf. I like the dwarf more than the beacons. I like the scaling down of go to the dwarves as like maybe, you know, find a dwarf, an approachable dwarf who can you know, point me in the right direction or something.
Mm-hmm.
And we can leave the third belief out until we find something that you like. I mean, we don't have to have every belief written down.
Right.
Is the other thing that I'd like to toss out there.
Right.
So we don't have
because there's going to be my third belief right now is the soldier's lament is more than a song. I will make it to an outpost of dwarves and beseech them. Maybe I just change that instead of writing a separate belief because then it's like I have two beliefs that are doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I just change this to say the soldier's lament is more than a song. Mm-hmm. I will find a dwarf who can lead me to their leaders.
Agreed. Yep.
Actually, I'm not going to specify that. I'm going to say I will find someone who I'm thinking dwarf, but Bina's thinking dwarf. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to constrict you in that regard. I will find someone who can lead me to the dwarven leaders. Does that sound right? Is that fitting in that?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, and I'll leave my first belief. I'm going to uncheck the fate and persona. That was from last session. I will I will go with that. And yeah, I'll leave that as a belief, and maybe I'll fill it in mid-game or
sounds good.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. So I'm good to go.
I want to look at one weird thing. Cool.
I got to remember there's several things about Bina that are worth. Hi, Corey Hickson. There's several traits that Bina has that are worth noting, just so that I remember to play them and so they come up. She's ambitious. These are character traits. She's an early riser and she's a little fat. Her die traits are that she's claustrophobic, must make a steel test when confined to cramped spaces, that she has one eye taken by a spiteful elf, and her call-on traits is that she's charming, which is a call-on for soothing platitudes, and that she's proficient in mind-numbing work, which is a call-on trait for will when performing mind-numbing repetitive work. And she has a bunch of relationships. None of them are germane. Oh, that's so true. Vasoma is her lover that she has a problematic relationship with because she's still married, and those things have not been reconciled. And she's married in an ostensibly monogamous relationship. But Voss is keeping her safe on the road.
Cool.
Nice, awesome. Yeah, where do you want to open? I think we left off. We had just gotten back on the road, right?
Yeah, so you're back on the road, and Voss points you north, and you wake up in the cart. Voss is guiding you, and the mule from the cart is following his pony, as it always does. And you've outdistanced the rain. You can see the clouds behind you, the thunder clouds of the elves behind you. And you can start to see the mountains in the northern distance. And Voss says, in a few days, we'll get to an inn. And we'll be able to clean up and have some good food and think about what we want to do next.
Will there be dwarves there?
I don't know. If they're coming south, maybe.
We should find one. We should find one that that knows more than we do, and we should find one that they can't all want to go to war. I don't think any of them want to go to war. Who would want to go to war? It's horrible. It's just death and loss and misery. They're leaving their homes. Can't be something they want. At least one of them must not want it.
Well, we'll see what we can find.
What was the name of the holding that we just left? Do you remember?
Let's see if I can. Yes, give me a moment. Tovenar Torin.
Tovenar Torin.
Yeah.
Do you think there'll be any more outposts like Tovenar Torin?
Not for a while.
It's probably good. She sort of looks at him and I think that there's a weird thing that happens when people make an accusation about somebody's character that even after it's been like not reconciled, even after it's been shown to be wrong, even after they've been sort of vindicated, that there can be like a residual distrust. And so she's looking at Voss and trying to show him that she trusts him.
Yeah.
That she doesn't like I know you didn't do this to me. And
right.
Like, even though we all factually know that you didn't do this to me, with everybody saying these things, maybe I would start thinking that. And I want you to know that I don't. So she just wants to convince him that, like, she does trust him.
So yeah, we talked. Voss is definitely not used to sharing the road, and I think he's just getting to the point now. Like, for example, when he gets things ready for dinner, there were a couple of times where, when you were on your way to Tovenar Torin, when he would get everything out, cook dinner, serve himself, put everything away, and then eat. Like, because he's just so used to doing that. It's just what he does. So like, he's getting to this point now where he like gets everything out, puts an extra bowl out, puts, like it's not that he didn't feed you or he, held food, but
it just wasn't, and it wasn't in his nature. It
was not in his road, habit. So yeah, it's just on the way to the end is when you see him start to find new ways and incorporate Bina into them.
Cool.
The inn is right on the road, and it has a little well in the courtyard, and some hedges around it in case anyone ever attacked. But the hedges, I mean, it wouldn't really stop anyone. At best, it might stop some bandits. And you guys get there as the sun is going down on about the fourth day out of Tovenar Torin, and you can hear like you see some travelers walk in as you are riding up, and a young girl gets down from a barrel with that she's sitting on at the door, and she says, "Want me to take your guys back into the stable?" And she kind of clucks at them and gives them little like pieces of apple. And Voss says, gives her a penny and says, "Take him around." And nice. He kind of parks he says, I'll see to the cart. Do you want to go in and get us a room?
I'll take care of it. I have a question. This young girl, does she have shoes?
No, she does not.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, I get out of the cart and I walk over the probably if this is on the road still and there's any amount of traffic here, sort of broken up ground, and we see Bina's feet kind of been like she's got a lot of calluses, so it's not like she's like her feet are at all delicate, but like she definitely is used to like also like walking around the big rocky bits and things like that. And I walk over to the well. I assume a convention is like well water is just free, like it's just available to whoever takes it. Yeah. So I walk over to a well, the well, sorry, and I think I like refill, and I pull up the bucket and I refill, I submerge like a canteen that we have, and then I splash and then I like wash off my feet that are just dirt encrusted, and they're gonna get dirty again, but you gotta start somewhere. So and then I head in and we see little like footprints in the dry dirt for wet feet leaving as I go into the inn and look for crack it open and try and find someone who looks like they're in charge.
There's an innkeeper and her husband, and they're like their heads are together, and like it takes them a second to even notice you because they're saying like, these are strange travelers to have on the road, and he's like, did they seem like they were hello, how can we help you, miss?
I think
and you see like their eyes go to your feet right away. Like they notice.
Right. I hope that since the little girl outside was shoeless as well, that makes me seem more like them.
Right.
But we'll see. Right. Bina like takes a step in, and she notices that like her feet are still a little bit wet, and so she kind of like, I imagine there's kind of like the place to like clean off your shoes, like a little like brush or something like that, so you don't track a bunch of mud in. And so she kind of like wipes her feet on that, so it's like not to make a mess, and they're in. And then comes over and says, my partner and I, she kind of stumbles over the word partner. She doesn't really know what to call Voss. My partner and I are just traveling through. Can you put us up for the night? And perhaps give us something better to eat than what you eat on the road.
Of course, we can always do better than what you do on the road. We can try. So, just one room?
Just one room.
You and your husband then?
Yes, me and my husband.
And
She kind of weighs like, do I want to
right.
like it's not that she wants to lie to them or deceive them. It's just she doesn't want to get into a discussion about what their relationship is. So
Yeah.
she just kind of like, yeah, sure.
We'll have the room ready in just a few minutes. The common room is ready, and I'll have a couple of ciders out to you in just a bit.
That sounds lovely. We're not wealthy by any stretch. If there's anything I can do to help out, I'm very familiar with cooking and cleaning. Uh, and as long as I'm here, I might as well help. And I think
We've
she's sort of like not saying like give me a deal, but
right,
like we're gonna have to get your cheapest option, and if
right,
we can make up for that by me helping out, like I might as well because I know how to do all this stuff.
right. She says, "Well, why don't you have your cider, and then we'll discuss all of that." And like as you walk away, they definitely exchange a look like, "Oh shit!" Like you know, here we go.
Right. Like I'm gonna try and swindle them and not pay them.
Yeah, like you're a moocher.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, like that's not wrong.
right, right.
Right. Like I don't know how much money Voss has. I did bring one of my few possessions is let's scroll down here. One of my few possessions is is cash that I actually, bought a small I brought with my resources I brought a small bit of coin. But I think my resources trait, well, I can see what it is. Resources trait is B0. Yep. That's what I thought. So yeah, I got nothing.
Cool.
Of course, hey, all I need to do is win one test and I get that up to
You're in the mix.
I'm in the mix, right? Playing the
You're,
game.
the common room is has one main hearth fire, and above the hearth fire is what looks like a walking stick, but carved into it are the elvish runes that were on your daughter's
Wheel.
toy. Yeah, wheel.
Yeah.
Um, so that's like I think the first thing you notice, and the next thing you notice is there is a dwarf who I'm totally basing on. There's this dwarf from Witcher 3, and there's a picture of him that I love. I have it on my blog, and
Yeah.
his beard is cut shorter than you would think a dwarf's beard would be cut, and his hair is kind of like in this, uh, you know, almost like a faux hawk, and he's got kind of like a poofy coat that's open and chest hair coming out, and there's like a young bartender lad sitting on his knee, who's like conspicuously tall, because that's his type, and he's playing cards and being loud and boisterous, and he's playing cards with a couple of merchants and some caravan guards.
Okay.
And
Awesome. Yeah. And he is uh
he's bellowing like as you get in. He yells, "Towers! Give me your silver, lads!"
nice. Well, I think this is the first time Venus seen a dwarf. And she was looking for a dwarf. So there's a
Right,
part of her that's like, well, this must be the dwarf I need.
right.
Right. Like this is the first time. So therefore, this has got to be it. I'm like scrolling rapidly through your blog right now, trying to find the picture. But
I will send you a link.
the
Hold on.
depiction was good.
Cool. Uh, hold on. When I went to the image search, it came right up. There it is.
Oh yeah, I could probably just search Dwarf Witcher 3.
Hold on, I got it. I'll send it to you on Roll20, and if you want to share it with chat, you can. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to share links.
I can put a link in. I think I found it.
Cool. I put it in roll 20.
Yep, I got it. All right. Yeah, and I can throw it. Yep. I found a different picture, but same character.
Yeah.
All right, chat. So all of you can boop.
Yep. And he's got a sword. He's got the sword like on the back of his chair in a scabbard.
Nice. Yeah. So I mean, I think it's funny because like for Bina, a lot of these things are very new and fantastic, and so it's a little like wondrous to be here, and that she goes and immediately like goes to the staff that's above the hearth,
Yeah.
and like reaches out for it, and then she hears the towers and turns and sees this dwarf and just kind of stares like in surprise. She didn't think it would be that easy to find a dwarf,
Right. It shouldn't be. Yeah.
And realizes that she's forgotten her cider, and so she goes back and like tries to find like a table to sit at where she can watch this game happening,
Right.
trying not to stare.
Yep.
And takes the cider that's meant for Voss and puts her cup on top of his so as to keep the heat in.
Yeah.
To keep it warm.
Cool.
Like only like takes a sip and then sets it back down so that when he gets in, it'll stay warm. And she's kind of fumbling with that a little bit as she watches this game to sort of see what's happening.
Yeah, they're playing some kind of weird card game. It's like poker, but with some sort of siege. There's towers and knights and tunnels and betting and cussing and loudness.
Oh, betting, not betting.
Betting.
I was like
betting.
Yeah.
I mean, and at one point the bartender is like, I have to get up, and he's like, you're good luck. Stay right there. And you see the bartender and the matron of the inn kind of exchange eye contact, and you like, this, right? Like you watch her give him permission to sit there.
Yeah.
She's like, it's the matron who gives the ciders, and she's like, sit. It's cool.
He's a good spender. I don't want to piss him off.
Ding dong. Yep.
Yeah. Right. So that's perfect. That's Bina's opportunity. She's like, how do I fit into this equation? I don't fit in this equation by like playing this game I've never played before or betting on it. I fit in by doing the servant role that someone else can't do now. So she like finishes off her cider, which is great. I'm sure it feels wonderful to have something warm inside her. Leaves her cup on top of Voss's, so his stays warm, and approaches the matron. I see your bartender is busy, but I'm sure there's more drinks to be served. Can I help? You don't have to take fare off of our room. I don't like to be idle. And then she kind of like rubs at her eye. Because I'm sure the bandaging is itchy and annoying. And
your husband won't be mad when he comes in?
He'll be happy I started making friends. And she smiles.
Okay. I've got things I need to see to in the kitchen to get dinner out on time.
I know how to serve drinks.
Yeah, she shows you the basics.
Yeah.
She says, she points to the dwarf when you're at the other side of the bar, and she says, his name is Kurbika. Keep his drinks flowing.
Kurbika?
Kurbika, yes.
Kurbika.
Yeah. And she says, keep the tally here. You can see that they've got like slate and chalk behind the bar. And she like, there's a rune which the viewers at home will know is a K, and there's more drinks than any one human should be able to drink at one sitting next to
Mhm.
it.
Nice. And because this isn't a thing that that I would be used to doing because I never charge for it. So I just say
Right.
one mark for each drink. Yeah. Yes.
We'll charge them at the end of the night. Do not bring up charging. You don't deal with that. Matter of fact, don't handle money. Just serve drinks and keep a tally.
And for the others as well, like they like basically I just confirm that they all have a tally. Like everybody at the table, I'm just gonna see who drinks what.
She says, figure it out. And like you notice that like the only person who has a chalk tally is Karbika.
Okay. So the others are locals, regulars, whatever. They've
You
got
have
their
no
own name,
idea. Yeah,
right?
yeah. You have
Yeah.
no
I don't
fucking
know. I don't
idea.
know. Okay. Cool. Awesome. I love it. It's perfect.
And like, yeah, one of the caravan guards looks up and he says, new girl, come on. I'm a
Yeah.
desert here.
All right. Awesome. So this is where Bina is going to try to shine
Mhm.
because she doesn't want to be taken as a substitute teacher who
Right.
like, oh, I can get away with anything, right?
Right,
Because
right, right.
you don't know any better. And um so I asked the lady real quick, what's your bartender's name? What's the lad who's sitting there?
Yeah,
Going,
Tiago.
Tiago. Okay. Tiago and Krabika. That's enough for her. Let's write these down. Tiago and Krabika. You have such good names, Judd.
Well, I thank entirely the names book.
Yeah, it's such a good.
It's the one.
Um, awesome. So I'm definitely going to go over and bring them drinks, and I am definitely going to make a point of charging them and not Krabika. And I want him to feel special and like he's the top dog in the house. And if they, well, that's my attempt. Yeah. So I'm going to go over and say, here you go. And then I'm like going to wait and be like, okay, pay up. And I don't want to lose Tiago his job by shorting the till.
Right.
And so, so it's like, I don't know what they owe, but they know what they owe.
Right.
And I know they owe something. And I'm also going to bring a drink at the same time to Kurbika. I'm just going to assume he wants one. I'm just going to bring him one. But pointedly only asked to be paid by the caravan guard.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to make a good impression on the dwarf.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm doing is soothing platitudes. Is that I'm like showing him deference and like, oh yeah, you're special, you're important.
Right.
These guys are just whatever regulars, and also trying to charm the table a little bit, like being like catty with them, like okay, yeah. I know what you're gonna try to do.
Right.
I'm hip to you already.
Yep. The merchant and the caravan guards are all black, men and women. And you've heard that there are a lot of immigrants from across the sea at the capital in the east. So not unusual. Like it might be unusual for you because you're kind of out here in the country, but not that unusual. It's something that you're like, oh yeah, I've heard that there are a lot of folks from abroad over at the capital.
Sure. And I think it's far less likely because I've served a lord.
Right.
I think it's far less likely that I haven't met people from the capital.
Right. But you might have seen some folks, especially like caravan guards and people hired to guard herds because you're at like a crossroads. So you've probably seen some folks from abroad, but not this many.
Yeah. I think I'm a little like I'm out of my element, but I'm gonna try and play it cool.
Cool.
I'm charming It's a trait that I have, so I'm gonna try and play it up.
Cool. How? What are you doing? How are you inserting yourself in there?
Oh, I mean, I'm walking. I walk over. Basically, I find a tray and I walk over and I pour out a bunch of drinks, um, and I as I start setting them down at the table next to the people, I make the guy that was like, hey, it's a desert over here. I like pointedly serve him last. So
Nice.
like it's like he's gonna kind of wait for it for giving me sass in the first place.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I kind of like walk by. I don't know anything about the hands, but I'm just like, oh, like when I see their cards or whatever, I'm like, oh, and I kind of and I give them little like gentle nudges, like yeah, like whoever has a big pile of cash, I'm like, nice, and then I also make a point of giving the bartender whose name I just wrote down, and then Tiago, I like give a point of like bringing a drink to Tiago because I think Tiago is performing a service right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just convivial with everybody. And again, also like maybe it's a separate, maybe it's splitting hairs, maybe not, but like also making a point of showing them that I can't be like pushed around, and that the dwarf is and that Kurbika is getting special attention here.
Got it. Yeah, Kurbika is definitely winning at hands, and like he's bellowing, and at one point he bellows, welcome to the jeweled road, lads, and just like rakes in silver. One of the guards, a woman says, "I'm out," and she picks up her bow. And the rest of them are like, "Come on, we'll loan it to you." And she's like, "No, no, 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 no. I set the amount of money I'm willing to lose in a night. And when I lose it, I walk away. And that's why I have money at the end of my route and you don't." And they start cussing at her in like their native tongue, and it gets playful and loud, even louder than Kurbika.
Nice.
And he's kind of laughing along with them. And you can hear good smells coming out. You can smell good smells coming out of the kitchen. Like there's some kind of goat stew that's brewing. That's really excellent.
Nice. I tell her, I'm like, don't go too far. Dinner's coming soon. And like, try to keep her from leaving the party altogether.
She says, "Thank you, Auntie."
It's not wrong, right? Bina isn't old. She's 25, right. But like, that's fine.
It catches. They start calling you Auntie.
Nice. I love it. Yeah. Does Kurbika seem to take any notice, or is he just like, I want to stand out to him. I want to stand out to him as like,
so let's make a soothing platitudes roll. I feel like we've set the scene enough where I can see what you're doing, and we're living in the moment a little bit. I don't want to just do like roll soothing platitudes. Yes, it has happened.
Right. Absolutely. No, I totally agree. And on the same token, like there's times where just a roll is not needed, but I think to stand out to this dwarf, it seems like that's something that is maybe risky. And what you have been doing this whole time is giving me lots of opportunities to describe my action so that I could bring in forks. And what I've been doing as a bad burning wheel player is just like narrating shit and not looking at it. I should have been looking at my forks and being like, I'm doing this and I'm doing that.
Right. So, well, I mean, I feel like it's something that I notice in indie RPG games. When I see them played online, I feel like there can be a thing that happens that I don't particularly like, where it feels like we're talking about playing instead of playing. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, I want Kurbika to notice me. I use soothing platitudes. Cool, roll.
He notices.
Awesome. He notices. You know what I mean? And you don't get to like be in the moment. I like being in the moment for just a little bit. Like I don't know.
It also, I think, helps you figure out like what are reasonable outcomes, right? Like if you just say, I want to try a thing, it's really hard. But if I'm like, this is the particular action I'm doing. So to that effect,
yes.
Let me say that the moment I want this role to be the moment I envision, and you tell me if this doesn't feel like it's a significant point of conflict, but the moment I envision is I serve Kurbika his drink. I don't ask for anything. I serve everybody else their drinks. And I'm like, all right, boys, pay up.
Right.
And when one of them is like, what about him? Or no, we all clear our tabs at the end of the night, or
Right.
I'm like, no, he has a tab at the end of the night. You all pay. And like, and again, friendly, sassy, like just like very like, I mean, it's a skill to be a server and to like have to be firm about the rules, but still be friendly. But I think like that's a skill that that Bina has, right? Like she's had to tend to the squires, and they don't get the same rules as the Lord, right? Like it's same power dynamic thing.
I think the merchant, who's an older woman named Jabilani, like she says, I'll pay for them, and she literally has an abacus at the table, and she's like tut tut tut, and then gives you the silver for their drinks.
Nice. Cool. I mean, I would have no idea whether she was shitting me or not, but that like she paid me. Fun thing, I'm not sure Bina has pockets. So like maybe not. She definitely doesn't have a coin purse. So I'm like, awesome. Coins. Cool.
Right.
Let's do something with that, right?
Kurbika shakes his head at, and he's like, "What goat pen did you come out of, woman?"
And I'm like, how? This is a germane question. How do people smell here?
They smell like the road. I mean, people have not bathed. Yeah, for the most part.
All right. I say one where we knew to wash our feet before we came in, and the one that smelled better than a lot of you. And she kind of like, I mean, I washed my feet before I came in and brushed them off. I was paying attention to being a good guest.
I wash my feet in the dwarven high holy days, just like every good dwarf does. One of the guards says, one of the guards like, that's not true. You wash your feet more than that. And Kurbika says, I'm not telling.
Those days they come, and I mean, Bina really doesn't know whether she's in her element right now. Like she's like trying very hard to judge the room and be like, am I overstepping? Am I being funny? Am I not? So she's like, oh, those, I don't know dwarven calendars. Those come once a year or once every 10. And like she kind of like pinches her nose like, oh God, it smells so bad. And she's just, again, not sure whether she's, but now she's joshing this dwarf, which is not
you want to roll that
now that I've got myself nice and in a place to cool. I am I'm looking, oh holy crud, I am sporting the hell out of this skill. Okay, what is my ob on the ceiling?
I want to see if they have some kind of a dwarven something. No, I'm just gonna say ob 4.
Oh Jesus, thanks Judd.
Well, I mean, that's the average will, right? So that's like a will of a person who has a will.
Yeah.
As opposed to
what's my stakes? What happens if I fail this? Or you out? I can't remember now whether or not Burning Wheel proper says establish stakes. I feel like you are very good at reading the
no, but I should tell you what happens if we lose, right? And you should tell me what you want to do.
Yeah. I want the dwarf to be interested in me enough that he thinks I stand out from the average peasant, and that he thinks I feel like, just from the interactions I've watched, that he doesn't necessarily value the people here, and maybe that's because they don't have any, like, they don't stand up to him.
Right.
And I'm gonna try and without getting all like Klingon, like I will fight you, but like I will like match. I'm gonna try and match his veracity and his like boisterousness into a way that like he's like, oh, that's a person I want to talk to because they're fun to talk to, not because they just like take whatever I say, right?
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah.
And if you fail, I think he was going to want nothing to do with you. I think he's just going to be really dismissive, and you're going to have to do something to get.
I'm gonna have to do something.
Conversation, like it's going to get awkward, very awkward.
Okay. Watch as I weasel for dice here. Okay, I'm rolling soothing platitudes. I'm gonna work in work-wise because I'm doing work right now. Yep. Okay. Sorry, I wasn't sure. Okay, cool. I'm gonna work in peasant-wise because we're talking about like goat pens and washing your feet and keeping yourself clean and all these other these other sort of things.
Okay.
And
you're pushing it, but okay.
Okay. And I think because they're calling me auntie and it's very familiar, I want to fork in wife wise because I'm like playing the like banter that a couple has as their nope, you're not feeling it. Okay, cool. Nope. All good. It's my job to advocate for the forks, and not it's my job to advocate without being a weasel. But okay, I didn't try lazy wise. I thought about bringing in talking about the other guys, but cool. So I'm bringing in those two. That gives me that face. I play for that face, Corey. I like watching Judd go. Don't know about that. Okay, so I'm rolling 5 dice, ob 4. That is not great. I'm gonna spend a persona to get an extra die because this is important. I'm gonna spend a persona on a boon. And I think that's really all I can do. And I have a call on proceeding platitudes. So if I fail,
you can just roll.
I can re-roll it. And I'm going to remember that. I forgot that last time. So let's go over to here. And all right. So I'm going to mark down 1 persona. And I'm going to roll see if I got this right. Same platitudes, modifiers, 2 dice in helping, 1 die, and there, 4. Yes! Thank you, persona!
Holy sugar!
I think that's like the first roll I've succeeded in like 2 sessions.
Sugar honey iced tea.
And it's difficult, which might mean my soothing platitudes go. Oh no, I need it. I need 1. I have all my routine, all my difficult. I need 1 challenging.
Nice.
Cool. Or it might be 2 difficult or 1 challenging at 3. Let me look that up.
Okay.
I think when it's lower, it's either, and then when it gets above 5, it becomes both. So I will look that up. I don't have my burning wheel book on me. I'll grab it.
Yeah. So at some point in the night, you kind of eat on your feet, and like another caravan comes in, and they you end up serving that table too, and Tiago stays where he is. And at some point in the hustle and the bustle, Voss came in, got his drink, and then like took his bowl to the room so he could crash out.
Mm-hmm.
I think the whole thing is just a little bit more exhausting to him because he's the one doing a lot of the work of the droving.
Yeah.
But yeah, you barely notice, and I think he knows what you're doing, right? Like you literally were like, well, I have to find a dwarf. And then like you walked in and he's like, oh, I see what's going on.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a big mystery. You're there helping clean up at the end of the night. And Krabika is a little bit drunk. And he's he's lost everything he won in the beginning of the night is gone, and he broke even at best, and the merchant caravan, the merchant, she ended up taking a lot of the dwarves'
Oh,
money.
nice. That's what
Uh,
was your name again? You said it, and
uh, Jubilani.
Jubilani, is that Jubal?
That's Jubulani.
Oh, John, does the stream say this is Agon? I always forget to update that. I'll fix it. Sorry. Yes, this is Burning Wheel. You are right.
And he's like got Tiago like on his lap, and he's whispering to him, and Tiago kind of laughs, and he says, I wanted to see the elves. And he says, what elves? He goes, the elves. You didn't see them come in? There are no elves here. I'm a dwarf. I can smell them. And he says, no, they came in and got a private room right before the auntie came in. And he says, you saw someone pretty and you thought they were an elf. It's a common human mistake. Why don't you go up to my room and wait for me? I have to settle things out with the auntie. Settle things out? I'm not going to bring anyone else with me. I just have to settle things out. She's married, for goodness sake. She's a goat herd or something. All right. He kind of like tugs on his beard and kisses his neck and walks away. And the kid is tall. I mean, he's like kid, 17, 18. But he's really, 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 like, he gets up and you're like, oh my God, this is
there's a lot of bartender there.
That's a lot of Tiago. He's a big dude. He's
big
like,
and lanky, it sounds like.
He's like 6'7".
Holy moly, really tall.
Yeah. And Krabika like watches him walk away wistfully, and says, "You did pretty well tonight."
I can't imagine there's any kind of tipping, but I do imagine that like how the house did matters. So I kind of look over. I'm going to pretend like I think he meant we did well. We sold a lot of booze. So I like look over the till. I'm like, yeah, I guess we did all right. They should hire me. They should bring me on every night. It doesn't look like you fared so well though.
No. I don't know.
The merchant, she had some skill.
When the abacus hit the table, I should have left.
Is that what that thing's called?
Mm-hmm. It means she knows the odds, but she was just using it to tally her guard's tab. But yeah, smart. She is smart. Have the guards go through her for the money so that there are no fights with the inn. It's a smart way to go.
Yeah. Gave me less trouble. That's for sure. They all seem to have a good time, though. You kept everyone pretty entertained. Whether you took their money or not, you made friends.
I'm good at making friends.
Is that your job? And I'm like busy, right? Like as he's saying this stuff, I'm like cleaning and, like I'm keeping my hands busy.
What's your name, lass?
I'm Bina. You're Kerbika.
Mm-hmm. I did trading for my family, but I haven't done that for some time. Now I do odd jobs where I can pick them up.
You don't trade anymore, or you don't work for your family anymore?
Everyone is always trading, in my experience. What are you doing here so far from home without shoes on, Bina?
How do you know I'm far from home? Do you know the human lands well?
Hold on. I'm
There's a
gonna roll
little,
his.
there's a
I'm
little
gonna roll.
testing.
I'm gonna roll his human wise. I'm gonna see what he can get.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's fair.
that's interesting. Cool.
Not bad.
Yeah. And he's gonna open it. Nope. Okay. Your accent puts you somewhere in the hills around Karakage. But there's a lilt that puts you south of there. Anyway,
You have been around.
you're not that far from home, but you're farther than most humans get.
It's funny you ask. I was looking for a dwarf, maybe one who had been around and seen the parts of the world.
Where is this going? I'm not joining you and your husband. That's not happening.
I think she doesn't get what he's talking about.
Awesome.
I don't think she understands like this whole like swinger lifestyle.
Right.
So she doesn't know that he's saying I'm not going to have sex with you.
Yeah, this poor guy has been like exotified up and down the human lands. Like it's just like, oh, everyone wants a little hairy guy in their bed. No.
Yeah, right. And she's like, "How did you know?" She sits down. I think it's the first time she sat down. She sits down next to him because the seats are all empty.
Come on, you've seen me with Tiago all night. You had to know that I was going to end up with him.
Oh, no, I don't want to have sex with you.
Oh, well, that's a relief. He takes his sword, puts it on his lap, says, "Well,
But I was hoping to ask you a question.
all right."
And she leans in kind of conspiratorially and says, "You know, I want to generalize, but you know that there are a whole lot of elves moving north right now, right?"
From where?
Elfland? From the south? Wherever they come from? I'm correct, at least in cardinal directions, right?
Are you talking about Tiago's elves?
You said you could smell an elf,
Yes, I was lying.
but you know what their script looks like?
Yes, I know they're writing.
And you see that, and I point to the thing and I said, and you see that says elf friend.
You read elf.
Enough to know that is going to be very important very soon. The only reason why this place won't be trampled under the armies of the elves is because of that little stick on the wall.
Armies?
You don't...
The hosts aren't marching. I would have heard.
Any reason you can imagine why the hosts would be marching? Let's say I'm just making this up because I have some strange Tiago-like fancy. There's nothing that, and I'm sorry if I'm generalizing here, but there's nothing that any dwarf might have taken from an elf.
An elven prince was visiting for the first time in a long time. That there's a lot of room for that to go wrong.
Did he return home?
I don't know. What do I know about elvish princes?
What do I know about dwarves?
You know that there's one sitting right in front of you who wants to go fuck a tall man right now, and you're keeping him by telling him stories about fucking elves. And I'm so impressed with your ability to read their damn script that I'm sitting here for it.
Why don't you go have a good night? I've got work to do. Can I talk to you in the morning?
Sounds good.
I'm gonna leave him alone because Bina knows when to push her luck. She's played this game with her lord a lot of like, I want this thing, I want this thing, I want this thing, but I'm gonna like.
He's getting up to go, and he's at the stairs, and he's like, "Let's play a game, Bina." The hosts are marching. They're going to meet somewhere in Karakage, like they have in the past, somewhere near your village, and that's why you left. What is it you would want from me?
You don't work for your family anymore. Not because you decided you wanted to. Sorry. Does he interrupt me or is he?
No. You go. I want you to finish.
Yeah. You don't work for your family anymore. Not because you just decided you wanted to take up a different line of business. I assume that getting in good with them wouldn't be so. Getting back in their graces wouldn't be the worst thing ever. I think we both want the same thing, which is for you to introduce me to someone important that I can share this information with and save us all a whole lot of trouble. She's trying to convey that his problems are her problems and vice versa.
I've been out of the hold for 5 years. Why would I want to go back now?
Maybe to warn your family so that they don't get caught in this slaughter. Or maybe to return home. They both seem like good reasons to me. You can go home. And I think that's a little weird for Bina to say, because when she says you can go home, for her, a lot of that is like, I was captured and had to change where I lived. Like returning home wasn't an option. Theoretically now it is, because like her lord is dead, but then now there's no reason to. But like there's a weird bitter part of her lack of freedom that's coming out right now, and her like anger at people who take their freedom for granted. So that's when she says that, it's like a weird bit of her history kind of spilling into this and feeling it with a different tenor than she had. Like, don't take that for granted, and and don't wait until there is no home that you have. She's not saying that, but that's kind of
that's intense. He senses that, and he said, "I'm sorry you've had a rough time. We'll talk in the morning."
I won't miss it. I'm an early riser. It's a trait.
Cool. Make a perception roll.
Oh, goodness. This should be fun. Let's get used to Sean not making rolls again. All right. My perception is B4. Well, that's not terrible.
The ob is 4.
The ob is 4.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely.
If you fail, then you won't notice the elf following the dwarf up to his room.
Oh, that's nice. I have a question.
Yes.
Last time elves were around, tell me if this is right or wrong, the text on, or when when uh uh my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
when she showed me the wheel, the inscription, like the text in it like glinted when we were at the old tower.
Hmm.
And I don't know, I think at least it's been a while, but I felt like in the elves' presence, it was like it sort of came to life. Is that correct?
I don't remember that, but I'll give you a bonus die for having the wheel out.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like between having the wheel and also having that the hearth, the sign on the
Yeah.
hearth
Yeah.
there, like if there's like a glint in it, like that would, like other people might think it's firelight. Bino would be super alert to it.
Awesome.
So, okay,
Take
cool.
a bonus die.
I will take one there. And it's because it's a trait I can't, a stat I can't fork anything in. I don't think I have anything I'd fork in anyway though. Let's find out. Before you can roll perception. There we go. 1. Artha is none. Obstacle is 4. Nope. What did I get though? No, I didn't even get a 6 that I could explode. Because perception I think is always open ended, but yep, I failed that.
Got it.
And it was difficult. Yeah.
Cool. And you can
I will posit that if this elf is going to do some harm there, that that there may be warding on this place because of the text over the mantle. I could be super wrong.
You're super wrong, but that's cool. It let's. Why don't we take our first break?
Yeah, that sounds great.
And we'll come back and move on from there.
Yeah. Since Bina doesn't know this, there's no way for her to protest that. But in her mind, she would say, "Wait,
right,
not right." Yeah. Let's see. We'll be back in a few minutes, folks. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you all soon.
Cool.